Good morning, everyone. Can you all please settle down quickly? Please settle down quickly. Thank you.
We'll be starting shortly.
Quickly.
Okay, volume
Okay. Which one? Jury member. Mr. Bharat.
Now, firstly, we are going to give it to Surbi Gupta, right? Do you have the order already? Can you once check? Firstly, you're going to give it to Surbi Gupta.
All set. Bharat is on the way.
Yes. Listen.
ఈ స్పెక్స్ నేను కావాలని ఇక్కడ పెడుతున్నా. నోబడీ మూవ్ దిస్.
Everyone, please settle down. We'll be starting soon. Guys, please settle down. We're starting soon. Let's start.
Let's start.
Hey guys, how are you all today?
How is it?
So your favorite hosts are back for one last time.
I guess so.
Congratulations to all the teams who got selected to this round. I learned so much from these guys and their wonderful ideas. They really stood out to me.
I know, right? They're such smart people.
Definitely.
We congratulate all the 8 teams who have made it to the finals.
It must have been hard, but a rewarding experience nonetheless.
You know what else is hard? Being an entrepreneur. Now we welcome Miss Sridevi Devi Reddy to congratulate all of you and share some of her insights. Miss Devi Reddy is a seasonal professional with 25 years of experience. Big round of applause.
Give it up for ma'am, guys.
Good morning. A very good morning, gentlemen and gentle ladies in this hall. Can we show some gentleness, please? Please settle down. India's journey on the Global Innovation Index has been an interesting one. While we proudly stand as the are at the top, showcasing the power of innovation. But here's the exciting part. We possess the demographic dividend, that is all of you, and the tech-savvy young population, that is again all of you, giving us an unique edge. It's time we channel this potential into transformative innovation, propelling India to the forefront of global creativity and progress. At GITAM, our mission revolves around sparking the flames of innovation and nurturing the entrepreneurial spirit within students. GITAM smartIDEAthon is a significant step in this direction. Today, we celebrate the 3rd edition of GITAM smartIDEAthon. GITAM smartIDEAthon is a collaborative initiative of GITAM Venture Development Center, GITAM E-Club, Northeastern University Center for Entrepreneurship Education, Northeastern University Center for Emerging Markets, Northeastern University Boston. Through GITAM smartIDEAthon, we are creating an ecosystem that nurtures creativity, encourages risk-taking, celebrates the spirit of entrepreneurship. The response this year has been truly overwhelming, with 1,007 applications pouring in from all corners of the country. After meticulous rounds of shortlisting, we distilled the pool of talented 100 student ideas. These young innovators have undergone rigorous online bootcamps and received invaluable mentoring over the last 2 months. Yesterday, 32 exceptional teams battled it out at the semi-finale. Today, 8 finalists are set to pitch their ideas for cash prizes and an exceptional opportunity, a trip to Boston. This trip entails a transformative 2 weeks of mentorship at the Northeastern University, Boston, USA. Today, GITAM smartIDEAthon 2023 is about to reach its pinnacle. Winning team takes home rupees 2 lakhs in cash, plus a fully sponsored trip to Boston for both the founder and co-founder. The runner-up team takes home rupees 1 lakh in cash and a partially sponsored trip to Boston. The best social impact team wins rupees 50K in cash and a fully sponsored trip to Boston. Best women-led team takes home rupees 50,000 cash and a fully sponsored trip to Boston. Popular Choice Award, which all of you will be voting after a few minutes, receives 50,000 in prize money. Mr. Leben Johnson, a dynamic leader and an empathetic soul, laid the foundation of GITAM VDC. His legacy lives on through this last award. These rewards not only celebrate the incredible efforts and innovative ideas of the participants, but also open doors to invaluable opportunities and experiences in Northeastern, in Boston. We at GITAM believe that by nurturing and acknowledging these visionary minds, we contribute to a brighter and more innovative future for our nation. My humble request to all the students in this hall today is keep innovating, keep pushing the boundaries, keep changing the game. Wishing you all the very best. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much for your kind words, ma'am.
We now request Mr. Krish P. Nagegata to join us on the dais. What?
Mr. Krish is an accomplished business leader, serial entrepreneur, and an angel investor. As the Chief Innovation Officer at GITAM, he redefines traditional education methods, enhances career services, shapes research and innovation pathways, and cultivates an ecosystem that encourages innovation thinking, risk-taking, and an entrepreneurial problem-solving approach. We request Mr. Krish to address the gathering and share his kind words.
Good morning.
Thank you. How many of you in the audience are freshman students? Ooh, good number. And I'm assuming everybody else other than the faculty and guests are seniors, at least not first years. So in that case, you would have, how many of you have taken the course Venture Discovery? Venture Discovery. Not many. Not many. I thought every single student takes the Venture Discovery course in the first or second semester of your joining. So we need to check on that. Entrepreneurship, again, one last question. I won't bother you after that with questions. How many of you think that entrepreneurship leads to startups? Okay, what do the rest of you think? Entrepreneurship doesn't lead to startups? Well, I think the answer is both. Entrepreneurship sometimes leads to startups, but the intent of entrepreneurship or learning entrepreneurship and going through entrepreneurship education is not entirely to set up a business. Well, does that sound right? Yes, it does, because what you get in entrepreneurship education is skills that you can use anywhere, not necessarily in starting a business. So the kind of skills that you get, thinking outside the box, are building teams, working in teams, speaking fearlessly in front of a large audience, like how you'll see the 8 finalists will pitch to all of you. So these are skills that you acquire in entrepreneurship. And these skills are all transferable. They're portable. You can take you pursue, you need these skills. So when you think about entrepreneurship and venture discovery, or oh, this is not for me, I'm not going to become an entrepreneur, so I don't need this education. That's the wrong way of looking at it. Every one of us needs entrepreneurship education, so we can build our skill base to be better individuals in doing things better, in working with teams, in building not necessarily a company, building a product. You need entrepreneurial skills. So at GITAM, we have taken this conscious decision to embrace entrepreneurship roughly about 3.5 years ago. And we wanted to build an ecosystem. Many universities look at entrepreneurship and measure the effectiveness of entrepreneurship through the number of startups that come out at the other end. And we didn't want to make that mistake. Yes? To build businesses, but that's not the primary intent of introducing entrepreneurship education at GITAM. We want to give you the skills, and through those skills, if you end up starting a business, by all means, yes, we welcome that. We'll give you all the support. Even if you don't want to do that, many times what happens is you come for an education for 4 years or 3 years, whatever program you pursue. But at the end of 4 years, you want a job, or your parents want a job, because whatever reasons, you're not ready for starting a business, taking the risk. So the skills that you acquire here stay with you, and let's say if you want to start a business 5 years later, 10 years later, 20 years later, these skills remain with you. And you use these skills in the meantime in whatever career you're pursuing. So well, today at GITAM, as I said, now we have embraced entrepreneurship. We have invested heavily in entrepreneurship education and building venture development centers across the 3 campuses. We have one in Vizag, one in Bangalore, and another one in Hyderabad coming up shortly in the next year or so. And smartIDEAthon, for which we've all assembled here, is one of the many things that we do in the Venture Development Center. This is an annual event. Obviously, we as Ms. Sridevi just mentioned, we invite applications. We have over 1,000 applications this year. And I'm here to talk about the themes that we adopted and why we adopted. Three children is undernourished or not, doesn't grow as well as they should because of lack of access to proper food. And then on the other end, we also have overnutrition. There's too much nutrition that is taken that leads to diseases. We have diabetes. India is the world's global center for diabetes. So it is the highest per capita diabetes is in India. So it leads to those diseases. We're looking at innovation, innovative ideas, and thereby entrepreneurship ideas that solve some of these problems, that help solve the food, nutrition, and health issues. On the sustainable fashion, all of us want to wear nice clothes and look good. So we want to always buy earth that we live in so badly as they do now. Then we have toys for STEM. STEM education, again, is big. Everyone needs STEM education. And globally, there is, especially not globally, if I know about the US numbers, the STEM students who can do math and who have proficiency in reading, that is declining steadily. In India or anywhere else, games and toys, and all of us know that. We love games, we love toys, and learning, using them to learn is a great way of innovating. So we have chosen the toys for STEM for that reason. And frugal innovation, as you all know, we also call Jugaad. How many of you have heard the word Jugaad? India is big on Jugaad. How many of you actually, I promise I won't ask questions, but I'm still asking questions, you should pardon me. How many of us throw away toothbrush ever? How long do we use a toothbrush? Maybe a couple of weeks, a month, and then you throw it away. But in India, I have not seen a household that throws away a toothbrush. Because we have applications, we have uses for toothbrush after it served its primary purpose. We use that to brush things, clean things up. Women use that to clean jewelry. You have so many uses for toothbrush. So if you take anything, that is jugaad. That is something that you find a product, you have a primary application for it, and you are using innovative methods to put it to different uses. So India is big in jugaad, because we are forced to live within our means, to make things within our means. If you look at Chandrayaan 3 that landed, the entire cost of that project is one-third of the cost to produce a movie called Avatar. You probably are familiar, have heard this before. So that is what India does, and a number of times you innovate out of a need to innovate, to be frugal, and that frugal innovation can be extended to the world, to global. My colleague here, Professor Ravi Ramamurthy, specializes in that, reverse innovation. How are countries like India innovating and exporting that innovation to advanced countries? So this is happening right now. It's been happening for a long time. So that's why we have picked frugal innovation as another theme. So those are the themes around which applications are sought. We had about 45% of the applications in the frugal innovation space. I'm very, very pleased to report that. So today also you will see a number of teams that are pitching with the theme frugal innovation. Then we had about 31% of the teams in the food and health space. The remaining teams are in the other two spaces. So those are the themes for today, and you will hear those pitches. 8 teams will come in front of you. What I want you to take away from today is there are 8 teams that we have selected, and we call them winners, and among them we are going to pick a few other winners. In entrepreneurship, there's nothing called winning or losing. All of us are winners. So the teams that did not make it to the finals today, the other 24 teams that traveled here and competed yesterday but did not make it to the finals today, or even the other 70 teams or so, or if you take a 1,000 applications pool, several of them did not make it here. It doesn't mean that they're bad. And these are good. There's nothing called bad or good in entrepreneurship. It is at that time, at that pitch, they did not win. But no, it doesn't mean that they have to go home and not try entrepreneurship ever. This is part of failing and getting up, dusting off, and doing things again. That's part of entrepreneurship. So I want you all to acknowledge that while we celebrate winning, the losers should not feel disappointed. I don't call them losers. They have not made it to the final. So they should also celebrate. They should also go back and continue the entrepreneurial journey. So with those words, I want to end here. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. I wish the teams pitching here all the best, and have a great one.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights. We kindly request you to remain seated on the stage, please. We also request Ms. Sridevi ma'am to join us on stage. Now, I would like to introduce you to our next guest speaker joining us on stage, Dr. Surabhi Gupta. She serves as a manager at Invest India, which is a flagship initiative of the Government of India, intended to build a strong ecosystem for nurturing innovation and startups in the country. Please give her a big round of applause.
We request Mr. Krish to felicitate Dr. Surabhi Gupta. We would now like to invite Mr. M. Shri Bharat onto the stage. Mr. M. Shri Bharat is our president. He established GITAM in 1980 in Visakhapatnam with 3 campuses, 21 schools, and over 23,000 students. GITAM is a dynamic educational institution. He is also the visionary behind Kautilya School of Public Policy in Hyderabad, shaping India's future public leaders.
We request Mr. Krish to felicitate our beloved president, Mr. M. Sri Bharat. We now invite our chief guest of today, Mr. Pavan, onto the stage. Mr. Pavan is the co-founder and CEO of Skyroot Aerospace, India's leading space tech enterprise, and a scientist turned space entrepreneur.
We request Mr. M. Shri Bharat to felicitate Mr. Pavan.
During the finale at Vizag smartIDEAthon edition, there were multiple instances I had goosebumps only by the ideas, the thoughts, and the energy of the studentpreneurs there. I was literally questioning myself, what was I doing at their age? So a huge congratulations to the team for another successful edition. This is primary and most important reason for Startup India to come again to partner with smartIDEAthon for its 3rd edition. And the second important reason for us to come here is the innovative solutions for impact, creating for impact as the major theme of smartIDEAthon year and year again. Looking forward to the next edition as well. So thanks, Krishji, for asking those questions essentially to the students. That kind of made me realize that amongst the students, we have 2 sets of students. One, the ones that are there for entrepreneurship, for their finales. And the second set, I would say, are the ones who are there for attendance. And there's nothing wrong to be here for attendance. I was there in your shoes once. And I know it's okay to attend lectures, seminars, conference, for the attendance purposes. But what I did not do, and you have the opportunity of doing, is being here with an open ear. So what I'm asking you to do is that just for the next 3 hours, while you're sitting here, embrace and absorb Women's Day. So she mentioned that she had no interest in entrepreneurship, in innovation, but then she realized that her grandfather was aging and he kind of started losing his speech ability. And to help him to bring him back to the normal life, she developed a hand glove that was changing sign language into speech. Not only, and obviously this is not a novel idea, but what is interesting here is that she tried and helped her grandfather. And not only did she help her grandfather, but it also supported her in catching her dream, which was getting into a Ivy League, and not only getting into an League for bachelors, but also backing up a huge amount of scholarship. So my first message for all of you here today is that think that entrepreneurship is not a career option, think of it as a life option. I think Chris ji has also emphasized enough on how it could be a life option for all of you. So I'll move on to my next point very quickly, which is the importance of mentors. So while in my last 3 years working with Startup India, we speak with many startups, budding entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs. When we ask them that what support can government provide you, the two things that usually come up is, firstly,
though some of you may feel that you're forced. Can all the participants in the smartIDEAthon competition, the 32 teams, please raise your hand so that I know where you are? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming here and participating. As the speakers before me said, that think of this, that you're in a movie for the next 2.5 hours. You may like the movie, you may not like the movie, but finish the movie. Is that a fair ask? Yes? Okay. I want to the teams that were selected into the top 32 and were invited to come and participate in this competition. I want to congratulate the 8 finalists. Very happy to see last evening that more than half of the people on the stage were women. So good to see women entrepreneurs doing really well. So congratulations to you, and I hope that the future also holds more women entrepreneurs coming into this field and competing. So we have a detailed presentation from our chief guest today, Mr. Pawan. So I was speaking to Pawan and I was trying to glean some information about him. And I was very happy to hear what he shared. How many of you here are computer science engineering students? Most of you. Now here is an interesting insight. So Skyroot, the company that he co-founded, which is building rockets to send satellites into space, he has 280 people working in his company. Can any of you guess how many of them are computer scientists? One of you raise a hand and guess the number. Yeah, I see you. Go ahead. 150. Yeah, you're feeling very good about yourself, but no, it's much lesser. Another guess? It's not 150, it's much lower. Yeah, the woman. Okay, closer, much closer. Yeah. What? No, okay, let's not be that harsh. He has about 10 computer scientists. So all of you, if you go for an interview to Skyroot, there's about 1,000 people in this hall. He'd probably select 1 or 2 of you. Right, Pawan? Or lesser. So for us as educators, the challenge that we have been facing is all of you, of your own interest, or maybe of your parents' interest, or maybe of your neighbor's interest, will come and say, I want to study only computer science engineering. Now, if he has only 10 computer scientists, who are the rest? Yes, some. What else? Mechanical, yes. I heard aerospace. Yes, aeronautical, aerospace. Do you have civil, Pawan? No, not much. And they have material scientists. So the idea is that, and this is something that this company is something that has raised $70 million over the last 6 years. If you convert that into Indian currency, we're talking about close to 500 crores of money. And I think that's one of the larger fundraisers that any startup has done in India in the last few years. So I want to congratulate Pawan and his team for achieving this. Especially now, after all of you must have seen in the news, how many of you have heard of the Chandrayaan landing on the moon? Yes, so he's very hot in the news right now, I think, the work that you're doing, and we're thankful to you for agreeing to be our chief guest, and this is a sector that's in everybody's mind today. For the competition itself, this is the second time that we are hosting it, and we're very happy to partner with Startup India and to do this. And in fact, our Bangalore students were lobbying with me yesterday that let's do it in our Bangalore campus next year. So I hope Startup India will believe in us a third time, and we'll be happy to support this competition. And out of the 32 teams, there were 3 teams from GITAM. So all of you first-year students, you can be an applicant next year. And out of the 3 teams that made it into the top 32, one of them made it into the top 8. I want to assure all the participants that we had no bias in this. We did not select the one team that made it into the 8. All of the jury members were external, and I think that the idea itself was a good idea. And in the 8 that are competing now, I hope that the best idea and the best team wins the competition. This is exciting times ahead. For all of you students, as you're beginning your academic journey, as Krish Garu mentioned, you will all go through an introductory course to entrepreneurship. It's called, I think, VDC 111 or Venture Discovery. How many of you have begun on that course on VDC? So use this opportunity. In your regular classroom or in many of your classrooms, you will have faculty members who will be throwing knowledge at you. Some of you will absorb and many of you will not absorb. It will go through one year and go out the other. So VDC is not something where knowledge is being given to you. It's an experiential course. We want all of you to start thinking critically. We want all of you to start asking questions. We want all of you to look at the problems around you and see whether you can solve those problems. And if you're able to find solutions to problems, and if you're able to find customers who can pay for that solution, that's a startup. That's an entrepreneurial idea. You can do that by starting your own company. You can do that in your family business. You can do that as an employee if you join any company. So there are many different ways that you can use problem solving for. And I know that we have an exciting competition ahead. I look forward to being a part of it. I'm going to be in and out of this hall for some time. And I really look forward to the presentation that Pawan has for us. I wish all the 8 finalists all the best, and may the best team win. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those kind words. We would now like to invite Mr. Pawan to the stage to address the gathering.
Hello, everybody. Check. Yeah, that's just perfect. Hello. Hello, everybody. You able to hear me? People there? Okay, so very good morning to all of you. And today I here stand very proud as an Indian, belonging to a country which launched, any guess? Chandrayaan 3, a spacecraft that landed on the moon. We became part of the elite 4 countries in the world which landed on the moon, and the first country in the world to land on the South Pole, which has a lot of treasures of scientific data. And I think very proud here. It just happened day before yesterday. How many of you watched it live? How many of you loved it? How many of you felt inspired? I think no words. I think literally we watched it with the entire team of Skyroot, as it was a phenomenal experience for all of us. And I think really stand proud today on being, being part of this wonderful country which made it happen. And so I'll just start off with a quick journey about, myself and Skyroot over the last few years, and also few learnings from it for all of you which could be quite useful for you. How many of you are in the first year of college? Amazing, There are a lot of computer science engineers out here, I see. So I think, the future is all yours. And 65% of India is below 35 years old, and 50% of India is below 25 years old. I think, and this decades of India, this century belongs to India. I think great wishes to all of you, and also congrats to all the winners and all the finalists, for the competition, and all the best to all of you. So I'll just revert back to my school days. In fact, I used to have like big spectacles at that time. And all my relatives and everybody who comes to my house used to think he must be the school topper. But what actually happens is that I probably am one of the last in the school. It's just basically my spectacles which say that make people think that this guy is a genius. But I was a very bad student at school. And then like up to 8th standard, I still remember like failing in some subjects, and also like getting around 50 marks in maths, even in 8th standard. So very bad student, I would say, and very dull, bad student up to my 8th standard. Then I changed. My parents thought, nothing is going to work with this guy. They changed my school. Then the teachers there actually did a lot of, found some spark. They thought that there's some spark in this guy. And then they started encouraging me. And I never got so much attention in my life. So I started studying well to retain that attention. And then became, I think, very good at maths, science, physics. I really got deep into that. And became one of the, from last few to the first few at school. And then got into an IIT. In fact, I grew up in Vizag. It's great to know like GITAM originates from Vizag. So great to see the journey of GITAM as well. And then went on to join IIT. So it's like got into an IIT and joined as a mechanical engineer, because I was very sure I want to work on machines. Very, very sure. I wanted to become a mechanical engineer. Lucky to get into an IIT. So got into IIT Kharagpur, joined as a mechanical engineer. There again, in fact, my parents told me that you get into an IIT, your life is set. So I believed that, and then got into an IIT. And then I thought my life is set, so I stopped studying there also. And then like a very bad student at IIT for the first few years. Then there is one, some of my professors thought that this guy has a spark, and then started encouraging me again. There is from again last few, could go to the first, to probably the good grades in college over the last few years. And then I was very sure that during the college there was a vibe of entrepreneurship. Everybody wanted to build companies, and coming from a middle class background, I also wanted to build a company in my lifetime. Because I knew the kind of independence you get, the kind of impact you can generate, the kind of nation building you can do as a company, building a company in India. So I was very fascinated to build a company and wanted to do a startup straight out of college, but I didn't have the guts to start a company straight out of college. But then my passion is always with machines, and I felt that rockets are the most fascinating, toughest, challenging machines ever built by humans. They defy gravity, go to space, some of the biggest wonders of engineering ever produced. So that attracted me, and in fact ISRO, the launches of PSLVs, etc., I used to watch on news, and I was very inspired by the kind of journey which ISRO had, and then wanted to join ISRO at that point of time, and very lucky that ISRO came to campus, my campus. ISRO came, and then I had to compete with the best of the minds at IIT Kharagpur, not being having very good grades. I was a 7-pointer in college by the time I completed my college, and then luckily got among the 4 people who got selected. I was the only non-topper who got selected at ISRO, and joined ISRO as a scientist. And 2012 was the time I joined ISRO as a scientist. I think phenomenal experience. I became part of the largest rocket program ever built in India called LVM-3. It's in fact widely dubbed in the media as the Bahubali rocket. It's a huge, massive rocket. I had the opportunity to work during the last phase of its development. Over the last 6 years, I was part of that project, being part of the first 2 successful missions. And then always that entrepreneurial bug is always at the back, saying, oh, have to start a company, have to start a company. But I never imagined whether you can start a rocket company. But that thought even did not come to mind, because I'm a rocket scientist and I want to build a company. But the thought of starting a rocket company did not come to me for almost like 6 years. And then suddenly one fine day, it just struck like a lightning and said, can we build a rocket company out of India? Then at that moment when I got that thought, I realized that it's very, very, very difficult, because I was part of the program. I know how complex, how difficult it is, how much capital it needs, how much people it needs, how much talent it needs, how much government support it needs, a lot of, so I immediately thought it's not possible. But still, the entrepreneur bug in me always said, there is some possibility, and started actually reviewing it and started checking whether it's possible, and then realized that it is actually possible. It's very difficult. A lot of stars need to align to make it happen, but still it is possible. That's when in 2018, that's me with GSLE LV-3 was the largest rocket built in India during that time as a young engineer at ISRO. And then in 2018, I took the biggest decision of my life, to step out of very stable, very active, very comfortable and very appreciative job. In fact, I used to love my job. I used to get so immersed in rocket tech that I used to literally, even in weekends and nights, I used to just keep studying and learning more out of them. So with deeply immersed, then I took the biggest decision of my life to start a company, rocket company out of India. At the time in 2018, there was no policy. Just imagine, people thought you're mad. There is no policy to even, allow anybody to launch rockets in India. So how can you build a company building rockets in India? So that's what, a lot of people laughed at it. Just the thought of, starting a company which has absolutely no policy backing. And then at that time, there was no funding environment in India. There is no private space company which actually raised a significant amount of funds. There is even no fund in India has any thesis. Every fund has a thesis. They have these sectors like, e-commerce, they have sectors like edtech, etc. But space was never part of any fund in India at that time, naturally because there was no policy allowing that environment. So no policy, and there is no funding environment. And there is, in fact, rocket science is real rocket science, and it needs the real talent, which is mostly available only in the government at that point of time, because only the space program is all about the government at that time, and there was no talent in the private sector. So that's one major challenge. And people used to think that it takes decades to build a rocket, decades to build this tech and then launch a rocket to space. So that was the environment where nothing was there, nothing seemed right. But still, I think that's what made me take that leap of faith, because in the gut I felt it is possible. Because of course a lot of problems need to be solved, but everything can be solved. And that started with the leap of faith, and literally with nothing in that environment. In fact, we just started with 2 people, me and Bharat, my former colleague at ISRO, and we are really good friends, best friends, and we thought let's start the company together. And then we started the journey in 2018. And then now we have just in July completed 5 years as a company. And then I think so new space reforms have been announced. 2018 we started. 2020 during COVID, how many of you remember the COVID period? So it was great fun at home, but of course it was quite a depressing moment for economy. And then at that time the government felt, let's accelerate India's growth with a new set of reforms. And they put space reform as one of the key reforms which country needs, because India has huge potential in space. India over the last 60 years has been built a great space program. We are all proud of what ISRO has done. We have launched to Moon, Mars. We have been the first country to succeed in a Mars mission, the first attempt. We have built huge rockets, huge satellites. I think it's a phenomenal journey, and India felt that let's open it up to the private players. And then at that time we were just like, a 2-3-year-old startup with just few people. And then the space reforms were announced, and this is with the Honorable Prime Minister during the inauguration of the space regulatory agency called IN-SPACE. And over the last 4 years, I think we have did phenomenal amount of innovation. We test-fired India's first privately built cryogenic rocket engine, completely built with 3D printing and with very futuristic tech. We were building a rocket entirely with carbon fiber, one of the first few in the world. And we have done a lot of great testing. We have signed the first MOU with ISRO to get their support of their test facilities, launch facilities. And by 2022, our team has crossed 200 people. Just from 2 people in 2018, in 2022, we have crossed 200 people. And in fact, we felt when we started off, one of the biggest doubts is, can we raise capital? Because building rockets is not easy. You need to raise hundreds and hundreds of crores. Can we raise capital? Just took the leap of faith, started, and then we raised $68 million over the last 4 or 5 years. Became the largest funded space tech startup in India, and we never imagined 2 to 200 people, 0 to $68 million, and then we won 2 national awards for our contribution to to rocket science, to engineering, and in fact in space, the Space Regulatory Agency started in 2022 as setting up a great milestone, a great opening for India's space sector. So it's a phenomenal journey of 4 years. And then the biggest event of all have come. In fact, on November 18, 2022, history was made. We became the first ever private company in India to launch a rocket to space. And something very, very interesting about this launch is that we became one of the first few companies in the world to succeed in a rocket launch in the first attempt. And I think this is a very historic milestone, considering that a startup of just 200 people came together, started in a time when there is no policy.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Event number 96 completed.
Yeah, so that was some of the moments from the launch. So it's a rocket which reached space, crossed the 80-kilometer line, and then today we stand as the only company, first company and only company to ever launch a rocket to space, in India, and that's what In fact, after the launch, the Prime Minister Modi, Honorable Prime Minister, said, this launch proves that sky is no limit for youth in the country. And sky is no limit for startups in the country. I think that has been a phenomenal achievement by all of us. In fact, that's our Honorable Minister KTR Garu, who came for in fact, who was kind enough to come and celebrate with us on the success party of the mission on the eve just after the mission. And so that's Mr. Somnath, Chairman of ISRO, and our Space Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh, who witnessed the launch live at the mission control. And that's Prime Minister Modi and, President of India, great words from them on our launch. I think there was a lot of celebration across. In fact, for almost weeks together, the entire one team was celebrated across the country. That was Skyroot team. Almost 200 people, the kind of effort they made, the kind of spirit they had. I think that has oozed our spirits to the next level. I think it increased great confidence to all of us, and naturally a lot of appreciation. So we are on the magazine covers, we are everywhere. In fact, recently I was with the Prime Minister delegation along with President Macron of France, etc. And in fact, we won the Startup of the Year by CNBC. In fact, they only award typically, unicorns in the country. We were probably one of the early stage startups. We ever became the Startup of the Year by CNBC, and then Forbes Leadership Award, and recently I was at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, invited to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, among very few companies in India to get invited for the reception for August 15th, Independence Day. I think that's the kind of encouragement we got after the mission. Everybody celebrated it, and in fact, it's a great boost for us. In fact, it inspires us to do more and more over the next few years. Probably maybe land something on the moon in the future as well. So that's the kind of journey we had. And now I'm going to. So what next? So we launched a rocket to space and did it in a record time of 2 years. Became one of the few companies in the world to achieve it in the first attempt. So what next? So this year, we are targeting by the end of the year, probably, we are targeting our next rocket, which is a 7-storied building tall rocket, which will launch multiple satellites to orbit. And that will make us like one of the first few companies in the world to be able to launch satellites to orbit. And more and more launches. Next year we're planning more launches, and then we'll keep on ramping up the launches. And in future, how many people want to go to space? Yeah, so in fact the mission statement at Skyroot is, in the long term, we want to open space for everybody. And probably, in the future we want to create a world where probably each one of you can go for a holiday in space, go and visit other planets, and probably every student in the world can actually launch a satellite before they graduate. That's the kind of world we imagine, and we have to solve one big problem, that is low cost access to space, building rockets which can become like aircrafts opening up space for everybody. You know, I think aircrafts have opened up the world for everybody. Rockets will open space for everybody. And space has innumerable resources which can sustain trillions and trillions of people. And as a spacefaring civilization, I think the future is space. And we want to open up the new frontiers, play our role in accelerating its efforts, and I think that's a very exciting future for all of humanity. And we're looking forward to people like you, young talent like you joining this journey. And I would like to just briefly go through what is the message from Skyroot journey, which will be probably very important for all of us. I think the first big message is, I think teachers have a lot of power to shape the future of every student. So the same thing happened to my life as well. So I request all the teachers here to give great attention to your students, and actually they have the potential to change the future. And I think it's very important to build that great professional relationship with every student. I think that's very strong message, in fact, from my life. And I think the second biggest message is always follow your passions. For example, when I was at IIT, almost everybody used to take an IT job, or everybody used to go for a finance job, right? So I felt that, my heart is in machines. I want to build the best, most complex machines in the world. And then at that time in fact, very few people join government jobs straight out of IIT. I took my spirit and said that my passion is machines, I have to get it, and I want to go to space because that's the most complex arena. And then I took my job in ISRO, and then then that made me start Skyroot and etc. etc. I think something which everybody, if you feel that this is your passion, I think please follow the passion, even though everybody